Good morning. So, in the previous section, uh, we were discussing regarding the three-phase induction motor design. So, in that topic, we have discussed the main design of three-phase induction motor, then the construction of three-phase induction motor, then the parts of this particular induction motor, and there are mainly two parts we have seen: the rotor and the stator. So, again, in the design parameters we have considered uh, like the main dimensions of the stator, detail of stator windings, design details of stator and its windings, performance characteristics. Also we have seen the output equation of a three-phase induction motor, and also we have seen uh, some of the specific loadings, choice of specific loadings for say there are two specific loadings. One is specific magnetic loading and second is specific electric loading. Also we have discussed regarding separation of D and F. So in the output equation, whatever the equation we are getting, A square L, that has to be separated. We need to get the separate value of D and L. So also we have seen the design of stator. So there are three main types. One is open type slots, second is semi-closed type, and the third is taper type. So again, we have seen the what are the criteria for the selection of number of slots, number of stator slots. So if I select the more number of stator slots, the advantage would be reduced leakage reactance, reduced tooth pulsation loss, higher overload capacity, higher overload capacity. Again, if I select higher number of stator slots, these are the disadvantages. So this is we have discussed in the last class. So now in today's lecture, we'll see remaining topics like turns per phase, again some design parameters in the particular stator, and we have to see how to design the air gap of the particular induction motor. So here first we'll begin with this turns per phase. So in this case, the EMF equation of a induction motor is given by the equation, that is E phase is equal to 4.44 F by T phase Kw. So hence the turns per phase can be obtained from the EMF equation. So we can get the turns per phase from the EMF equation as T phase is equal to E phase divided by 4.44 F by Kw. F by Kw. Generally, the induced EMF can be assumed to be equal to the applied voltage that we already discussed in the output equation. That whatever the uh, induced EMF is there, it is equal to the applied voltage V. So now it is applied voltage per phase. The flux per pole is equal to BAV into pi dl divided by pi dl divided by P. So here the winding factor, whatever the Kw is there, it may be assumed as 0.955, 0.955 for full pitch distributed winding unless otherwise specified. So if it is specified, then we have to take that particular value. If it is not specified, then we need to take Kw as 0.955. So now we can get number of conductors per phase. Z phase is equal to 2 into T phase, turns per phase, and hence the total number of stator conductors, let us say Z is equal to 6 T phase, and the conductors per slot Zs is equal to Z divided by Ss. So now or it is 6 T phase divided by Ss, 6 T phase divided by Ss. So if I say Z is equal to 6 T phase, then I can get this Zs as 6 T phase divided by Ss. So where Zs is an integer for single layer winding and even number for double layer winding. given number for double layer winding. So this is about the turns per phase. Now we will see the conductor cross section. Conductor cross section. So again, it is regarding the area of cross section of the conductor. Say area of cross section of stator conductor can be estimated from the stator current per phase, and suitably assumed value of current density for the stator windings. So from this we can get the section area of stator conductor is as Is divided by delta S. So where delta S is what? The current density in the stator windings. So again, you can get the stator current per phase as Is is equal to Q divided by 3V phase cos pi. So here it is cos pi. Whatever the Is or the stator current per phase is there, it is given by the Q divided by 3V phase cos pi. So a suitable value of current density has to be assumed. Considering the advantages and disadvantages. So in order to have the particular current density, so again there will be some effects, or so there are some changes. So in order to have that particular, so the current density should be proper. So advantage of higher value of current density. So one is if I select higher value of current density, then we can reduction in the cross section. So again reduction in the weight, again reduction in the cost. So if I increase that current density value, then there are some disadvantages, like say one is increase in the resistance. So in order to accommodate that particular current density, whatever the resistance of that particular uh, conductor winding is there, it should be increased. Again, increase in the copper loss. So as current increases, the whatever the losses is there, it is also increases. So increase in the temperature rise and reduction in the efficiency. So these are some disadvantages of higher value of current density. Hence, higher value is assumed for low voltage machines. Whatever higher value of that value of current density is there, it is assumed uh, for low voltage machines and small machines. So usual value of current density for stator winding is 3 to 5 ampere. So whatever the current density ID I delta is there, so it is 3 to 5 ampere. So based on the shape, sectional area shape, and the size of the conductor can be decided. So if the sectional area of the conductor is below 5 mm square, then usually circular conductors are employed. Whatever stator conductors are there, so they are circular in nature. So if the cross-sectional or the sectional area of the conductor is below 5 mm square. So if it is above 5 mm square, then rectangular conductors will be employed, and standard bare size of round and rectangular conductors can be selected by referring the tables of conductors given in design data handbook. So in case of rectangular conductors, width to thickness ratio must be between 2.5 to 3.5. So now you see the area of stator slot. So in the again stator slot design, the slot area occupied by the conductor and the insulation. So it is the slot area occupied by the conductor and the insulation. So out of which the almost more than 25% is the insulation. Once the number of conductors per slot is decided, approximate area of the slot can be estimated. So in order to get that slot space factor, we need to get slot space factor. It is given by copper area in the slot divided by area of each slot. So slot space factor will be given by copper area in the slot divided by area of each slot. So this slot space factor so obtained will be between 0.25 and 0.4. Whatever the slot space factor is there, it is between 0.25 and 0.4. So again, the detailed dimension of the slot can be estimated as follows. So here in this case, you can see the particular uh, design of this particular uh, stator slot. So in this case, we'll see uh, how that particular design will be done. So here it is particularly the slot insulation detail with the conductor. So this particular part is a lip, and this is what the wedge, whatever the gap is there, it is a little bit more. And here it is conductors placed. So we can say the conductor insulation will be there. It is slot liner, and it is a coil separator, coil insulation, and the conductor again. So here, normally different type of slots are employed for carrying stator winding of induction motors. Generally, full pitched double layer windings are employed. Full pitched double layer windings are employed for the stator windings. Again, for double layer windings, the conductor per slot will be even. Please remember, for double layer winding, the conductor per slot will be even. So these conductors are suitably arranged along the depth and width of the winding. So stator slots should not be too wide, leading to thin tooth width. So which makes the tooth mechanically weak, and maximum flux density may exceed the permissible limit. So hence slot width should be so selected such that the flux density in tooth is between 1.6 to 1.8 Tesla. So in the tooth, whatever the flux density is there, so it should be 1.6 to 1.8 Tesla. So this is size of the slot. Next, the proper slot insulation as per the voltage rating of the machine has to be provided before inserting the insulated coil in the slots. So this slot insulation is called the slot liner. So now the thickness inserting the insulated coil in the slot, this slot insulation is called the slot liner, and the thickness of which may be taken as 0.5 mm to 0.7 mm. So this is somewhat the thickness of that particular slots in the particular status. So now we'll see the length of mean turn. So the length of the mean turn is calculated using an empirical formula. LMT, length of mean turn, will be given by 2L plus 2.3 uh, delta P plus 0.24 plus 0.24. Now we'll see the resistance of stator winding. So the resistance of stator winding per phase is calculated using the formula, that is 0.021 into LMT, length of main turn, into T phase divided by AS, area of cross section of that particular conductor. So where LMT is in meter and AS is in millimeters square. So calculated stator winding, copper loss in the stator winding can be calculated as, so copper losses will be given by 3 square RS. So now we'll see the flux density in the stator tooth. So knowing the dimensions of the stator slot pitch, width of the stator and width of the stator tooth flux density in the stator tooth can be calculated. The flux density in the stator tooth is limited to 1.8 Tesla. As the stator tooth is tapering towards the bottom, the flux density is calculated as 1/3 height from the narrow end of the tooth. So the flux density at the 1/3 height from the narrow end of the tooth can be calculated as, so this is, let us say, diameter at 1/3 height from narrow end, that is d dash is equal to d plus 1/3 into that is STS into 2. So whatever the it is STS is there, so it is the height. So now slot pitch at 1/3 height will be given by, that is delta tau s dash is equal to pi into d dash divided by ss. So tooth width at this section will be given by bt dash is equal to uh, tau s dash minus bs. So area of one stator tooth is given by at dash is equal to bt dash into li. Yeah. So this is now the mean flux density in stator teeth. So it is mean flux density in the stator teeth. So now we'll see depth of stator core below the stator slots. So the depth directly I can give the formula. It is here whatever the denote is there, the outer diameter of the stator core will be given by this formula. This formula. So d naught is equal to d plus 2hss is equal to 2 dcs. So this is about the stator and the stator slot and the depth of the stator, and so now we will discuss regarding the main topic, that is length of air gap. Again, we need to select the air gap length in such a way that it should not affect the remaining overall dimensions of the particular induction motor. So again, this length of air gap is also an important factor in the design parameters. So what is this air gap? So is there, let us assume there is a stator, outermost part of the induction motor, and there is a rotor, inner part of the induction motor. So in between the stator and the rotor there is a gap. So what happens? So in the three-phase induction motor, in the particular stator we are applying the three phase voltage. So and due to that there will be some RMF, that is rotating magnetic field, which is produced in the stator, and that RMF is again responsible for the producing particular MMF, and that MMF is flowing along the air gap, and it is linking with a particular rotor. So again, a rotor is having some rotor conductors. It is also producing some of the flux, and hence it is producing some MMF. So this particular whatever the rotor MMF is there, so it is linking with a particular stator, and this stator MMF or whatever the RMF is there, so it is flowing along the air gap. So in such condition, due to the two fields, there will be a rotation of the induction motor. There will be some mechanical portion of the induction motor. This is the basic principle of the three-phase induction motor. So we need to select the area of the particular motor, and we need to have the good design specifications. So between the stator and the rotor, there is a air gap which is very critical part. So the performance parameters of the motor, like magnetizing current, power factor, overload capacity, cooling, and noise, are affected by the length of air gap. So these are the main factors, so which will be affected by the length of air gap. So again, the first part is power factor. So in this case, the MMF required to send the flux through the air gap is proportional to the product of flux density and the length of air gap. So the flux required to send the flux, the MMF required to send the flux through air gap is proportional to product of flux density and the length of air gap. So this particular figure mainly shows the diagrams of an induction motor with two different air gap lengths. So one is, let us say, with the increased air gap length, magnetizing MMF increases, and hence greater the magnetizing current. Therefore, the phase angle between applied voltage and stator current will increase, which gives low power factor. So in this particular figure, so what is happening is So with the increase in the air gap, the magnetizing MMF is increasing, and hence greater the magnetizing current. If the magnetizing MMF increases, there will be greater the magnetizing current, and if the magnetizing current increases, then the whatever phase angle between applied voltage and the stator current is there, so it is increases, which gives low power factor. So here you can see in this particular phasor diagram. So along the x-axis, we are taking pi m. We are taking pi m. It is the reference. Say this pi m is common in particular induction motor. So this IM1 is in phase with the pi m. So it is again a magnetizing component. It is in quadrature with this particular supply voltage. In quadrature with this particular supply voltage. So whatever the no load component is there, so it is given by I naught 1. I naught 1 is this is algebraic sum of this the particular core loss component and the magnetizing component. So in this case, what is happening? So if I increase the air gap, then what happens? Whatever the MMF is there, it is also increases, and hence the magnetizing current is also increases. But let us assume whatever the core loss component is there, it is assumed to be constant. Even in practical cases, this also increases. So this is assumed to be constant. Again, if I take the particular no load current component, it is again algebraic sum of I naught and this one. So in this case, what happens? So whatever the IS1 and IS2 are there, so again this particular increases that particular rotor current also, rotor current. So in this case, the from this pi 1, it is pi 2. So the pi 2 is increasing, that is pi 1. Whatever the phase angle is there, it is increasing. So as phase angle increases, that is pi increases, then whatever the cos pi power factor, it decreases. So um, as we know that whatever the cos pi is there, so it is power factor, so it is decreases. So the result is whatever the length of the air gap is there, so as it increases, then it will be leading the power factor low. So this is first. But second is overload capacity. So again, as the air gap increases, then overload capacity of induction motor, so it is again affected. So overload capacity of induction motor is the ratio of maximum output to rated output, and the maximum output is obtained from the circle diagram. Maximum output, whatever the p output is there, so it is obtained from the circle diagram. So the diameter of circle diagram is vs divided by xs. So where xs is the reactance of the motor, and the length of air gap affects the leakage reactance. Again, the length of air gap affects the leakage reactance. So if the length of air gap is large, the leakage flux is reduced, hence reduced value of leakage reactance. So with a decrease in the value of leakage reactance, diameter of circle diagram increases, and hence the overload capacity increases. So this is the effect of the uh, length of air gap, that is large air gap length. So third is the pulsation loss. Again, as the air gap increases, the tooth pulsation losses, which is produced due to the variation in reactance of the air gap, is reduced. So this particular pulsation loss, whatever the tooth pulsation loss is there, so it is again reduced. Then the cooling. So the large air gap provide better facilities for cooling at the gap surfaces due to the cylindrical surfaces of the stator and rotor are separated by large distance. Again, the next parameter is this, that is noise. Noise in induction motor reduced with the increase in air gap length due to the reduction in leakage flux. So in this case, the leakage flux is reducing. So again, uh, which is causing the noise. So again, this is somewhat the parameters or the particular um, criteria depending on the area. So hence length of the area is selected considering the advantage and disadvantage of the larger area plan. So the advantages are increased overload capacity, increased cooling, and reduced unbalanced magnetic pole, reduced in tooth pulsation, and reduced noise. Reduced noise. So the disadvantages: increased magnetizing current and reduced power factor. Reduced power factor. So now, the magnetizing current and power factor being very important parameters in the designing performance of induction motor. The induction motors are designed for optimum value of air gap or minimum air gap possible. So we need to keep it in mind that whatever area gap we are having, the induction motor it should be as minimum as possible in order to avoid the particular power factor, whatever the causes of that particular uh, power factor, and again the magnetizing current. So hence in designing the length of the air gap following empirical formula is employed. So this is the formula for calculating the air gap length or calculating air gap length. So this is 0.2 plus 2 under square root d into L millimeter. So D and L are the main dimensions of the induction motor. Main dimensions of the induction motor. So this is about the choice of air gap. So in the again this case here it is the formula for the LG length of air gap. So in the previous that we have seen the length of air gap and this thing. So this is about the today's topics. So in the next we will discuss about the remaining.